Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest in exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
Truck owners, I am about to change your life, and I am not kidding. This is Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com, and this is the trunk tray. Now, if you have a pickup truck, you know my pain. You get to the grocery store, you put your stuff in. Once you get home, you find your groceries are all back up by the cab. So you have a couple of options. You hop in the bed of the truck and you crawl back to recover all your stuff, and you got to crawl back to get it all out. Or you can hop up on the tire on the side, reach into the bed, and that's a pain, and it's hard to do. A lot of people can't even do that. They don't have the ability to get up on the tire or crawl in the bed. So the trunk tray is going to take care of all that, and Jeff is here. Jeff, you designed this thing. Tell us how the trunk tray works.
Well, the trunk tray allows you to load your entire truck bed on the ground from the tailgate of your truck. No need to climb in, no need to climb out. And also the trunk tray is removable. So if you want to have your entire truck bed back, you can just fold the lip, pull it out, and your truck bed is back.
And it's strong, but it's easy enough for one person to lift it.
Absolutely. It is 30 pounds. It's made out of heavy-duty aluminum, weatherproof, so if you don't have a lid, it's fine. It's going to last.
And another reason we know it's going to last is because it's made in the USA, which is super important. A lot of folks want to know about that.
Absolutely. That is very, very important to us. We make these trays out of Lafayette, Louisiana with Mesco Corporation. These guys are a great part of the trunk tray, and we're happy to keep those people employed.
I'm going to ask you about installation, putting this thing in. I'll call it an installation, but it's hardly installing something. It couldn't be easier. So what are the steps? What do I need to do once I get the trunk tray?
The toughest step is really to remove the backing, and that will probably take you the majority of the time. But basically, just clean out your truck and put the retention bar in. Okay. The retention bar is held down by 3M, very heavy bond, double-sided tape.
And that's the backing you're talking about removing. You said your installation tool is a pair of tweezers, and that's it.
That is it. And you put it in, and if it takes you more than 5 minutes, then the instruction is probably too complicated.
It's great. And then once it goes in, it's not a track. When I first saw this online, I thought that might be a track, but it actually runs on the wheels that run between the slots in the bed there. Absolutely.
It runs on the groove. The wheels are designed to fit in the groove of the truck, and the retention bar is really just to make sure that the trunk tray stays locked up front or stay locked in the rear of the truck, whichever is your preference.
And that's cool. There's two different positions. So if you want to use the rest of your bed, you can shove everything up by the cab and it'll stay locked there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What holds it in place?
What holds it in place is there is a panded drop latch. Okay, and by the way, the tray is panded, but there's a panded drop latch that holds down, and there are two tabs, one up front and one at the rear, that will keep it in place.
And you might want to use the one up front if you're getting groceries or something like that, and you just want to keep it handy and kind of use your truck bed as a trunk.
Absolutely. Whatever your preference is, if it's easier for you to go up front or in the rear, trunk tray can accommodate both.
Now, something you've done here, you illustrated with a toolbox how useful the trunk tray is. How much weight can the trunk tray hold, first of all?
The trunk tray is designed to hold 200 pounds without the trunk bar. The trunk bar is an attachment that comes along with the tray itself, but what that does is ensure that the load stays in front of the truck. And also that will provide some compressive resistance force to ensure that the tray stays up front.
I know a lot of folks work out of the back of their trucks and kind of use it as a workbench and that kind of thing. So that's perfect, because your other option is having to hop in the bed to get into the toolbox, or having to hop up on the tire to get everything out of that box as well. So it's not as convenient as it may think when you buy that toolbox.
Absolutely. And also the toolbox itself is also removable. So if you want the truck back for the weekend, baseball game, going to the beach, you can take the toolbox out, use the trunk tray to load your weekend stuff, and off you go.
This is super high quality, but if somebody has an issue, do you have a warranty for this?
Absolutely. It's lifetime warranty, and we would be happy to repair or replace the product.
The trunk tray is going to revolutionize the way you use your truck. You're going to love this thing. Guys in the studio here have been going nuts over this thing since Jeff got here. TrunkTray.com is the place to find this. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com, so keep it right here.
Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. DragonFireTools.com, industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage, and paintedautobodyparts.com, the leading U.S. auto body parts online store.
Man, there's a lot going on this lower end of this engine here, not to mention the valve train. Think about that. These connecting rods, crankshaft, everything has to move around. And in between this connecting rod and the crankshaft, there's bearings. And those bearings, you have to have some oil in between there. There can't be nothing touching. That's how the lower end works. Welcome to the AMSOIL Tech Tip. We are talking bearings. What do? Well, there's actually a fine wedge of oil in between the bearing there. That's the connecting rod and the crankshaft itself. What are they made of? Well, you can see it right there. They're called embeddability. There's things that actually go into the bearing that catch it so it gets suspended in the oil. The oil has to keep that stuff so it can get embedded in there because it's really, really fine. It's actually gonna wear off. You can see it here. The steel backing plate, the copper, the Babbitt, and the Moly graphic. You can actually take one of these bearings and scratch it with your finger and do damage to it. Also, when we talk about pistons, you got rings that have to go down to the bottom, and that's got to seal this blow-by. The stuff's getting down into the oil. That's a problem, Len. You can see it right here with the graphic. We got two pistons, man. What are we talking about?
Well, what's going on here is the rings are sticking. And what causes rings stick is the oil actually oxidizing and breaking down from the heat of combustion. That piston is seeing combustion heat, so it's seeing flame. And what happens if the oil's not robust enough, it'll deposit, the ring starts to stick, and then it's like a snowball effect, if you will, where it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse until you're losing compression and losing performance.
Yeah, not to mention the hole in the piston. These ones here, well, they're totally stuck in.
Right.
And this is what we're supposed to be like, right?
Yep, that's exactly how it should be. Loose, free, sealed into the cylinder wall, holding the combustion gases above the top of the piston.
Now, when we talk about bearings, I mean, there's all different types of bearings and different things that they do. But we saw earlier, Len, they have to be a fine material. Then oil has to ride in between them, man. Big thing here from the leading competitor to AMSOIL.
Right, anything that gets in there, the fluid film, you're talking about film strength, fluid, the construction of the oil itself, the base oils, all keeps that wedge, you know, intact so that the parts don't actually touch. You don't want parts touching.
So it doesn't end up like this here?
Right, that one looks pretty bad.
And then we got a couple of new ones here. Scratched up, but we said that was Babbitt material, super easy. Man, it's got to do an awesome job, that oil, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, it's got a big job to do there, and it all starts in the lab when we're building the product. If you understand the engine and the forces that the oil is being subject to, you're going to be light years ahead.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts over there. But you know the proof's right here on the screen, the technology and science that goes into all AMSOIL products. Check it out for yourself at amsoil.com.
My name is Jim Flanagan, and this is my 1969 Shelby GT350. I've had this car for 5 years. It's a local car. It's been in the Tri-Cities for the full 55 years. Well, it kind of goes back to my best friend Al Deal in high school. He was fortunate to get a brand new Shelby GT500 as a high school graduation present. And it's his fault that I've been driven to this hobby. So it took me a few years to get it, but I finally figured it out. I've made enhancements to make it more pleasurable to drive and safer. It was originally restored to be a concourse entry. Of course, it was restored by Ron and Paul White out of Jonesboro, and they were real particular, making everything perfect. But it's important to keep the appearance, at least the outside appearance, you know, people look at, and then the interior. You know, don't want to chop it up. You want to keep it as original as possible, you know, and enhance the drivability and the safety. When I went to high school, you know, 68 through 71, it was a who's who of muscle cars on campus.
What kind of looks do you get when you're driving this thing down the street or you stop at the gas station?
Most of the time, thumbs up, you know, if I'm just driving, stop at a gas station, they'll come over and look at it and say, oh, great car, great car. And of course, I thank them for that. And then I make a point to tell them it was bought, not built by me, you know. So I just try to keep the dust off of it in between annual clay bar and waxing by, you know, one of the guys that did the original restoration.
Even if you're not a racing fan, you've probably heard the name of our PaintedAutoParts.com Motorhead of the Week. It is the one and only Big Daddy Don Garlits. Now, we could do an entire television series on the life and times of Big Daddy and his accomplishments in drag racing, but one huge part of his legacy is recognizing others for their accomplishments in the sport. Garlits established the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame in 1990, and every single year the Hall of Fame honors the men and women who've made drag racing the great sport it is today. And they're all enshrined in the Don Garlits Museum of Drag Racing in Ocala, Florida. The class of 2025 includes some huge names, and you don't want to miss their stories. Look for the induction ceremony streaming the evening of March 6th. Thanks to Big Daddy Don Garlits, founder and steward of the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame and the PaintedAutoParts.com Motorhead of the Week. You can be Motorhead of the Week. Just send us a note at motorheadgarage.tv. Tell us your story, why you or someone you know should be Motorhead of the Week. Motorhead Garage is presented by DragonFireTools.com. You know, just a few years ago, there was a study, and it said that humans can distinguish between over 1 trillion different odors. And of course, when it comes to cars, that can be good. As motorheads, we love the scent of racing fuel, we love burning rubber, and who doesn't love that new car smell? But bad odors can ruin a good time in any vehicle. Just think about it. Mold and mildew in an RV or a boat, pet odors, old food, especially if you have little kids like I do, or the worst, cigarette or cigar smoke. Air fresheners and sprays just mask the odor, and you end up with the smell of strawberries and smoke, or lemon and mildew. It's super gross. Those sprays and air fresheners never actually take care of the problem. But Dead Scent is different. Dead Scent actually eliminates odors at the source. Now, I won't get into the weeds with the science, but when you activate Dead Scent, it produces environmentally safe chlorine dioxide. Those chlorine dioxide molecules actually break up the odor molecules and eliminate the bad scent on the spot. Now, I know what you're asking. Dead Scent is safe for people. It's safe for pets. It is safe for the environment. The package is even recyclable. And yes, Dead Scent is simple to use in your car, RV, your boat, or your home. Scott Vestal, our head of operations here, bought a classic Corvette just a few months ago. It was in good shape, but the previous owners were smokers. Scott remembered that we had a Dead Scent treatment pack on one of our studio shelves. He ran one single treatment of Dead Scent and the smell was totally gone. He tells me that after the treatment, he aired out the car and there was no trace of smoke to be found. And I've been in the car, and believe me, if it smelled like smoke, I wouldn't have gotten in the first place. But don't believe us. Here's a review from the trash crew at the Buffalo Chip Campground, one of the main centers of the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. Wally wrote to say that he used Dead Scent in the crew's trailer. Now we're talking hardworking folks who've been sweating all day and slinging garbage. Just imagine the smell in there. Well, Dead Scent completely eliminated those odors for good. You can find sterling reviews for Dead Scent all over the interwebs, and these are real endorsements from real users. Joy used Dead Scent after her husband forgot some hamburgers in the freezer for a couple of weeks. When they went to take their camper out for another trip, they discovered thousands of flies and the horrible smell of rotting meat. Joy says she was afraid she'd never be able to use her camper again, but Dead Scent came to the rescue. It completely removed the rotten meat smell, and Joy and her husband are happy campers once again. Logan W. had a leaky sunroof, and we know how that kind of mildew can smell really badly for a long time. Well, not after using Dead Scent. And finally, Flo K. has a yacht that stayed sealed up for 2 years, and just imagine what that smelled like. Flo followed the instructions, and she used Dead Scent, and the smell is history. You can find tons of testimonials just like those at deadscent.com. Everything you need to treat even the most offensive odors comes in one package, and there are different sizes depending on what type or size vehicle you are treating. Dead Scent couldn't be easier to use. Check this out. If you can, first of all, you park your vehicle in the shade or you wait till there's no direct sunlight on it. Probably a good idea to lay down a towel before you start the treatment. Then you just open the clamshell and take everything out of the package, pour in some water, fill it right up to the fill line, and you are almost done. Now, take the treatment packet and place it blue side down in the water. That's really important. You'll see it start to react immediately. You just exit and close the space, whether it's a room, a car, an RV, or a boat, and you just wait overnight or for about 6 hours, and you'll be all set. When you come back, just open the windows and air out the space, and you are done. You'll smell the Dead Scent, which has a clean, maybe slightly salty smell to it, but not for long. Once you air out the vehicle or the room, you will not smell a thing. Pet odors, body odors, vomit, pet accidents, smoke, all gone. And that's because Dead Scent doesn't mask anything. It eliminates the odors right at the source. I mentioned that I have kids who drop food in the car, which can get stinky. And at last count, we also have about 1 trillion cats. They love it in the den, and sometimes they even find the litter box. But for the times when they don't, Dead Scent has Ultimate Enzyme Spray. You can buy it in 2 different sizes. I'm going to see if I can buy a tanker truck of it. Actually, a little goes a long way. Dead Scent's Ultimate Enzyme Spray uses special microbes to target urine and other organic odors, and the enzymes in the spray eliminate odors right at the source. You will not be able to smell them anymore. It's so good that your pets will even be unlikely to return to the spot again to do their thing or to mark their territory in the first place. Yes, the Ultimate Enzyme Spray is safe to use around your pets. It's safe for the environment. You can use it on pavement, gravel, walls, fake grass, and of course carpets and furniture. But it's not just for pet odors. Parents and daycare workers, you know what kind of smells I'm talking about. And the Ultimate Enzyme Spray is great for trash cans, dumpsters, and even that fridge or garbage disposal. You can read a pile of reviews online. Dead Scent really works, and with very little effort. Just think about how miserable a bad-smelling car or RV can make you feel. Take back your vehicle, get Dead Scent, and eliminate the odor at the source. Find it at deadscent.com. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com, so do not go anywhere.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com. Industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage. And brought to you by Roadrunner Performance, high-performance hose and fittings. American Muscle, the aftermarket muscle car experts. And by The Spray Source, the #1 source for professional and DIY paint products delivered right to your door.
Tribotex is a great product that works. If you just inject it into the engine, you don't have to go through anything extra. But Pasha, if you want to take it to the next level and make Tribotex work at its best, there are a few best practices. Now, #1, you guys have told me, clean the engine. Make sure it's a clean surface to begin with. How does that work?
Yes, you want to make sure that these surfaces are clean. You can use engine flush before oil change, or you can use our new superior artisan bio-based cleaner called PR1.
And BR1 is great because it's environmentally friendly.
It is environmentally friendly, it is non-toxic, and third, it is a super concentrate, so a small amount goes really long way.
And the second thing, no other additives. You don't want to put other stuff in your engine while you're using Tribotex.
Yes, all additive companies, we all fight against common enemy, friction and status quo of large oil companies that produce mediocre product. But it is very difficult to know how different additives will interact, so we recommend you to stay within same technology.
Another one your lead engineer Brian told me about is actually mix Tribotex with the oil before you put the oil into the vehicle, right?
Depends on the application. You can inject it where it's easy to inject, or you can mix it with the oil and pour the oil through the regular route.
You won't notice immediate results necessarily with Tribotex. Sometimes it takes a little while, so you need some patience.
You're right, patience is the virtue in this case, because we are not immediate solid lubricant. We are film former. We build the film over time. It takes about 10 motor hours to build the film that gives you dramatically low friction and all the benefits that goes together with using the product. So when you wait a little, it pays off royally.
But in today's society, I want immediate results. So if I don't see it working immediately, I'm just going to add more and more and more. But that's a big no-no. You don't want to overdo it when it comes to Tribotex.
You will hear difference in noise in the very first 15 minutes when the valve train starts to quiet down. But the biggest difference is from the coating piston cylinder group. The very slow splash lubrication and rings remove most of the lubricant. That's where the most difference for the long-term effect and the fuel consumption happens, and the power. That's what you want to wait for.
You don't want to overdo it with Tribotex.
Yes, lower amount over longer time works better than more at once.
I have a lot of viewers that email me and send me notes and ask me about Tribotex. They want to know 2 things, Pasha. The first one is it safe for my vehicle? Is it safe?
It's absolutely safe, and there's no condition in which it can't make an improvement.
And what about a new vehicle that doesn't seem to need much improvement?
In new cars, you will not see much of a difference in terms of efficiency, but you will see a lot of difference in terms of longevity. And right after first oil change, it's perfect time to apply.
What about older vehicles and you're starting to have problems and maybe you hear some rattles and that sort of thing? Tribotex is perfect for those folks too.
That's right. The more friction, the more difference they'll make. So the older cars perform better, more cylinders perform better, and smaller engine, it performs better. This is all the places where a lot of friction robs you of fuel efficiency.
And it takes that friction away, but there's a lot of metal on metal wear, so you get some grooves and scratches, that sort of thing in the metal parts of the car. How can Tribotex fix those?
The grooves turn into smooth, glassy-like surface that is porous ceramic, and those pores filled with lubricant, so that lubricant works even when shock loads or sudden potholes happen.
Gotcha. Now let's talk about the other question I get a lot is how easy is it to apply or install or use Tribotex?
If you know how to pop up the hood of the car and find where you put oil, that's all you need. You stop the engine, you open the hood, you inject material, you close it, you let it run for 15 minutes to assure dispersion, and it's good to go for 500 miles, and then you will see a difference.
How often do we need to put Tribotex in our car?
It's enough for 40,000 miles, so once per few years if you drive not fast, or seasonally if you, let's say, ride-share driver.
Well, Tribotex is going to make your vehicle last longer. It's also going to take your old vehicle, actually repair the damage, and give you better performance. You can check it out at Tribotex.com. You can also find all the science there behind it. Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, returns in just 7 short days. We will see you then.